What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be going through Reddit Overemployed. Whether you are overemployed or are just looking around, there is going to be a lot of great information here. So let's get started. So, benefits, how to handle. This is a very common question that I see come up time and time again. So let's get right into it. Man, I really need to get me a water. Gonna do that real quick. Okay, so benefits, how to handle. I have my job one where health benefits suck big time. Currently on my spouse's health insurance. Wow. When rejecting coverage from job one each year, I have to show proof that I have coverage elsewhere and show myself as a dependent on my spouse's plan. I'm currently looking for my second job, and I'm purposefully targeting opportunities within healthcare fields to get better insurance. Ideally, not only would I go on that plan, but my spouse too. Job one is really the perfect overemployed first job, and I can't afford to burn any bridges when/if starting a second job, so wanted to get a plan in place ahead of time. How would I handle this? Do you think there's any way around it? If not, I'd appreciate any and all transparency without overloading with details. I would rather appropriately quit job one and start a new second job than risk burning bridges with anyone in job one. So all the feedback is welcome. Thanks in advance. Honestly, I would say either one, just get on the insurance plan at job one. You know, if they're asking to see proof, you can just get on their plan and then you don't have to show them proof of another insurance plan. Another option would be to just show them proof of your spouse's, the other one that you're on. If you are going to just continually to maintain that one, because you don't want to show them your second job. So you're going to have to either do one of those two things. And I think that's probably what people are going to say in the comments. With two jobs, you'll be making, there you go. You'll be making so much more money. Just stay on your spouse's insurance and also sign up at job two. Search for insurance posts on this sub. There are people with two plans and they don't have issues. Yeah, exactly. Like the amount that you're paying in insurance is massively offset by, the second paycheck. It's basically irrelevant. And also, yeah, this is a good point. Why are you forced to show you have healthcare? You could just say, I don't want/need it. So, yeah, I don't know what's up with that. This person says, double up on dental if you can. Insurance does not pay much and it is cheap. Save me a few thousand a couple times. Other insurance doubling up does not really seem to matter. I also had 3 dental plans at once and it worked fine. Yeah. Let's see what this one is. Bait and switch job posting. This is becoming too common now, posting a remote job, and after getting applicants, closing the job and making it hybrid or even full-time in office. I applied for some positions yesterday, got email phone this morning, and they changed it to in-office/hybrid. I would never have applied for them or taken their stupid calls. Both did this. How can we collectively make them pay for pulling this? I told them on the phone that that I only applied to remote, and the phone guy didn't have any answers, and the email guy hasn't responded. I'm glad I checked and didn't go further. I mainly checked because I didn't remember what the job was. I filtered by remote, make sure it says remote, and then apply if the job appears to be a match based on a 10-second scan. Yeah, I haven't heard of this where they post remote and then change the qualifications, but I have heard that some places over time, it's going to start out remote, for example, but then after like 6 months or after 12 months, they're going to move it to hybrid or something like that. And when I had interviewed with them, they required me to live in a certain city where they had on-premises locations anyway. So I think that for the most part, that stuff is pretty upfront. To be honest, this person says that they don't remember really even applying for this stuff. So it could potentially be that they're just mixing it up with another one. They thought it was this one. It was actually the other one, right? But let's say they did change it. Maybe they literally just decided to change the requirements of the job. Maybe they literally just decided they were okay getting a full remote person, and now for whatever reason the company doesn't want a full remote person. Like, that's not really, like, they're just changing their job description. Like, it's not that big a deal. Seriously. Maybe you could say that they're just trying to get people to apply, but if they were trying to get people to apply, it would make more sense to me if they first started out local, couldn't find people they were looking for, and then they expanded their search to full remote. With this, they probably got too many applications and they wanted to fine tune their search results, not search results, but they wanted to fine tune their application results, minimize the amount they are getting so that they could go through them quicker. So I don't think this is necessarily bad practice. All right, let's see what this one says about job listings. Do you hard pass job listings with 200 plus applications? Seeing when it doesn't make sense to apply, looking at the data, usually within the first 20 minutes, most have 20 applications, and with the first 24, 48 hours, there's 200 plus applications. Seems like there has to be others that have learned. So is it even worth the time to create a resume? Let's see. So this is pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of applications out there. I know that one of the main things is having essentially your resume go through the HR software correctly and have it auto-populate. So if your resume isn't auto-populating, when you load up some of those pre-approval, pre-resume things, that's a really good indication that you're not going to get hired, because it's going to be the same thing for the HR software. They're going to have it auto-populate. If it doesn't populate, they have 200 other applications, and yours is going to get put into the no pile. So you want to make sure that the robot is getting you first and foremost. And then some of the other aspects, it is what it is. But let's see what these people say. So as someone who does hiring, I will say that maybe half of applicants follow directions and less than half of those are qualified. If you're qualified, apply. That's a really good point too. So a lot of those applications potentially would be underqualified people as well, or overqualified. And in that instance, I'm sure, or, like overqualified, meaning let's say they are asking for 200,000 and then the job is only offering 85,000. So in that case, they would just get rid of the resume. Like, it's completely outside of the income band. So, not every applicant is going to be legitimate anyway. 200 applicants, that's still a candidate pool of 50 people who applied correctly and were qualified. Not great odds, to be honest, unless 5 or more positions are meant to be filled by the listing. So that's an interesting take, just math-wise. 1 in 50, so it's a 2%. So if you apply to 50 jobs, then that's one that you would get. That's not bad. Yeah, literally get good. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, yeah. All right. How do you feel about knowingly hiring OE candidates? I've been messing with Selenium at my job. Selenium automates browser action, so already selecting and clicking does it for you. I wish I could use it to automate the entire process for people, but it's so complex. If Workday had an API for 3 jobs, it's literally, we could just loop over all jobs and apply. Can it be done in links? That automates with Selenium or Python, or is that an application process standardized? One-click applications are common. That's why so many jobs have 1,000+ applicants. You're about 14 years late to the practical application of automated processes. Being novel. Yeah. Right. Okay. We're going to move on from that. Kind of go down a little bit more. Here we go. Okay. Indian recruiters asking for last 4 digits of social security number / birthday. I mean, it already obviously sounds like a scam. I've only come across this issue with Indian recruiters. I can almost give them a play-by-play of what they will ask for. Then they end the call with saying, reply with, I confirm to the email I will send you now, and please give us your birthday and last 3 of your social to confirm. Anyone else come across this? I never got a job through them, but what's their prerogative here? Editing to add. I think these recruiters work as a middleman between the agency and you. They'll get you a job at some agency that pays you X amount after taking their cut. They will then take their cut out of your pay, and you're left with everything else. I hate to say it, but when you see an Indian recruiter, you got to tread very carefully. Feels like a scam. It's probably a scam. No recruiter should ask for your social security number before the offer stage. Even during the offer stage, it's the HR who will ask you for that. This is a scam. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's an extremely common step for recruiters who submit to vendor management systems like Fieldglass. Many large employers require this information to be submitted to prevent double submissions and create a unique candidate ID. I began my career in recruiting and have been in IT for the last 8 years, so have been on both sides of the table. Interesting. So might not potentially be a scam. It happened to my wife before we met. The recruiter took her social and tried to reset her bank password. If they contact you asking for a social, it means they already have other info to get into your bank account, and that might be the last piece of the puzzle. They also stole people's phone numbers quickly and passed 2FA. There you go. Yeah. So I mean, it's a scam. There you go. How do you stop looking to level up with Overemployed? I've been on this OE adventure for a year and a half now. Still have my full-time job one. Been there for 3.5 years now. Job two, been there over a year, and job three for 3 months. And hold up, just really quick. So this is not like an overnight thing. So they had their job for 3.5 years. If we go back 3 months, that's 3.2 years. If we go back maybe a year and a half, they had their job for about a year and a half, and then they got their second job. Then another year and a half later, they got their third job. So you have to think about it like that. You really want to get set into these jobs so that you know what's going on, you do good work, you like the environment, things are going smooth. It's not really well advised to take on so much all on your plate, all at one time. Just because you don't want to burn bridges, you don't want everything kind of blowing up in your face. And so this person in particular, I mean, they have three, which basically no matter how you cut it, they're making six figures, right? Even if it was like a $40,000 job for all three, which is probably not, they're going to be making six figures if they're in the US at least. So obviously there's a higher earning potential as well than just, that. But yeah, so and then it says, during that time, I took on a fourth job and made it work for 3.5 months. And see, there you go. So that's, that's what could happen, is that things just wouldn't work out. And you have to play the game of, one, not loading too much on your plate. Like this person said, it didn't work out in 4 months with the fourth job, but also essentially diversifying your job risk portfolio, essentially, because in this example, fourth job didn't work out, but he had 3 other ones, right? Or, hey, the third one didn't work out, I still have these 2, so it's not a big deal. And so you want to manage both kind of things of the spectrum. So like, 1, don't do it too fast, but 2, don't do it too slow, because if you do it too slow, then you're going to be out of your job, if there's a crazy layoff, right? So it's kind of like just managing both of those together. I have the opportunity to add a fourth job again, would be an additional 130K in total comp, and seems more hands-off, so manageable OE work. The issue I'm experiencing is turning down interviews and being satisfied with 3 jobs. Total compensation with 3 jobs is currently 300K, depending on the vacations I take, but adding a fourth seems stressful. Then again, for an additional $7,000 a month, why not? Even if I juggle 4 jobs for 6 months, that's an extra 30K in profit. I respect your thoughts and insight in the OE world. You don't, and you shouldn't. Once you've maxed out your job capacity, start dropping lower quality jobs in favor of better ones. That's a really interesting take. Instead of just getting another one, maximizing the ones that you have to make them better, to make them less work and more pay. Second job starts getting out of control with meetings, peace out. Third job decides to drop a bad hand-me-down project in your lap, say goodbye. These are just examples. You have your own priorities. All I can tell you is that you're clearly not happy with your current situation for some reason. Figure that reason and address it. I don't know if I actually agree with that. I think he's misinterpreting it. Although I would just say that keeping the power in your hands, I think the main point he's trying to get to is keep the power in your hands. So if there is something that the expectation was not where you thought it would be, then to essentially reevaluate that. Whoops. Hang on. Okay. There we go. All right. Your call. Adding a fourth job, you can always ditch one of them if one turns south. You're spending time looking, so you probably have bandwidth. Great point. If you're spending time looking for a job, then you probably have bandwidth to take one on. Because if you're not spending time looking for a job, it's because you're working, right? Stay at 3. Wait and see if you can maintain 3 for a good 6 months straight through ups and downs without burnout. You're only bumping up your income by maybe 30% at the most with the fourth job. Maybe enjoy a life a little bit outside of work, play guitar, travel, work on some relationships, do your own thing. Either way, well done. You're an inspiration. Yeah, I would say like 2 jobs is really good. Like 2 jobs kind of breaks you out of poverty. 3 jobs, I would say, is where it goes from really good income to great income. And I would say any more after that, for the most part, it's kind of, it's a bit excessive. Like essentially at that point, the additional income that you would be making on job 4, for example, or 5, or even if you want to continue like 300K versus 600K, the difference is kind of negligible. But 100K to 300K, the difference is severe. And the reason for that is because you have so much surplus at 300K, it doesn't really make much of a difference between 300 and 600K. And obviously, putting more and more work into getting another job, it's kind of the law of diminishing returns. And it's not that making that money wouldn't affect you, but it's taking that time, that spare time that you have, that limited amount of spare time that you have, and instead of getting another job just to have a higher number on your bank account, you can actually start doing other things. And whether that is, like this guy said, enjoy life, play guitar, travel, work on relationships, something like that. It could also be start your business, and the business, if it does well, it would be massively more than another 100K salary, right? It would be potentially a lot more. So, but obviously you have to be able to fund that business, which is where OE comes in. OE helps fund the business. The business helps you escape OE. And then, I mean, you can really play it however you want, but that's kind of just what I've been thinking. If you can handle 4 jobs, I'm curious why you haven't looked for a higher paying first job. You could probably have 2 jobs and make more money. Yeah, but the thing about this is like the more if you're gonna like drop a job for another one, you have to understand that you never know how much work and expectation will come with a new job, whereas how much there is with the old job, and the tenure matters, right? So having that stability with the older jobs is actually good, even if they don't pay that much. You don't have to kind of jump around through hoops. So once you get to a point, once there is a rub, then it potentially could be a good time to start, making arrangements. But there's really no point in leaving if it's like very manageable. Yeah, so this is kind of what I've been saying. So make an honest assessment of how stressful it is with 3 jobs. If you think you can handle it, send a 4th job. The problem is, as you push the 35% bracket, the extra money rewarded from the work is debatable if it's worth it or not. Exactly. The law of diminishing returns. Like, if you're already making 3 or 400K, is another 100K really worth, all that extra work on top of it? And again, it's just really not, in many cases. So, exactly, diminishing marginal returns. Yeah. OPSC mentioned that you work in cybersec. You should be looking to level up in either your job title or what company you work for rather than finding a 4th job. Security engineers can make big bucks, often more than regular software engineers at the bigger tech companies, especially if you start getting into the senior level, which it sounds like you could, because of your years of experience. Yeah, 4 jobs sounds like a nightmare. Exactly. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, I know there's like some headlines about 10 jobs or 4 or 5 or 6 jobs, but I mean, that's just like kind of ridiculous. Uh, Start to demand more pay when you're looking for new jobs. Don't believe their stated range. The 131 asks for 170. You're not even sure you want it, but what if it's much higher paying than your other jobs? I would say that's really good, just instead of just chilling there. Oh, that's really interesting. Greed kills. True. Yeah. I mean, you could say either or. One, you could just like start sending applications for exorbitant numbers that are double one of your jobs. So instead of getting a fourth job, you can just replace one for a salary that's double the other salary. So if you're getting paid 50, you find one for 100. You swap it out. Obviously, that's easier said than done. You're going to need to have the right skills to be able to do that, but it's definitely an option. Or you could do contracting, or you could start a business, or you could just do something else. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I think this is going to be the last one. This is pretty thorough. All right, well, let's get into it, and we'll just end it on this note, though. So, a more palatable OE tax calculator. Hello, friends. As a tax professional and longtime OE lurker, I figured it wouldn't hurt to share my knowledge with the community. I've witnessed the IRS withholding calculator egregiously misestimate the amount of federal tax withholding necessary for OEs, mainly because it mostly fails to account for SS tax being over withheld. I saw another spreadsheet on here from a few weeks back that looked incredibly complex, so I figured I should make a simpler and more accurate one. Here are a few things to note about the calculator. It does not work with business income. Calculating self-employed tax and QBI deduction is a doozy because there are a million variables that go into it. So if you have a C2C income, this calculator would not be able to accurately reflect your tax liability. Okay, yeah, I mean, there you go. So C2C, so it's already not going to work for most people that are OE probably. The inputs and output page are the only things you really need to worry about. The other two sheets are for intermediate calculations. They are kind of a jumble. There are a couple of oversimplifications, generalizations, i.e. the child tax credit does not phase out after 200, 400K in the spreadsheet, even though it should. This means you should not count on the calculator to be 100% accurate. Works for the filing statuses of married, filing, jointly, single, head of household. It even accounts for spousal income. If you have a job midway through 2023, make sure to reduce your annual gross earnings, the first column, to the amount you expect to earn at that job in 2023 alone. Don't include your annual total comp unless you expect to work there for a full year. Same goes for a number of pay periods. And there it is. Please let me know if there's any features I should add. One last plug: if you need an accountant who understands tax intricacies of being overemployed presents, especially when it comes to data security, you can't schedule an intro consult with me. Okay, cool. So he's helping out. It is what it is. And yeah, so I guess if you want to check this out, just look up a more palatable OE tax calculator. And here's the link. And here's the person's thing or whatever. Legend, there you go. So it seems that people seem to like this post. And yeah, there you go. All right, guys, I'm going to end it on this one, and I'll see you next time.